I'm not a fan of Star Trek, nor do I hate it. I'm mostly indifferent to it. In the past, I've played the Star Trek game on the 360 that was based on one of the movies. I'm like 95% sure I've seen one of those also. Star Trek is a historic franchise, and I've gathered information about the series through osmosis from being on the internet, overhearing family members talk about the shows, or watching channels like Red Letter Media videos about Star Trek. If you're wondering why I even played this with surface level knowledge and no real connection to Star Trek, it's because I've come to really enjoy these choice driven games. They're low impact gameplay and they're a good way to unwind after a long day at work. Just sit back and watch a good to decent story unfold. Star Trek Resurgence is developed by Dramatic Labs and published by Brunner House. Two names I'm not familiar with. They launched the game in May of 2023. I've seen it on the Xbox store for a while. I just put it on the wish list and decided I could wait for a sale because of my indifference to the Star Trek franchise, and I could always wait for a sale, and it eventually went on sale and just sat on my backlog until a few months ago. Before we get into the meat of the video here, I just want to give a slight spoiler warning. I did my best not to say anything too specific when I'll be talking about the story, and the footage I'll be using is from the opening sections of the game, so I won't be showing some things I mentioned later on in the video because that's like later in the game and I don't really want to spoil stuff, since this is a story heavy game and that's the meat of the video game. So spoiler warning ahead. It's not going to be like in what I'm saying, but maybe spoilers in some sense if I can't cut around what's happening in the gameplay. In Star Trek Resurgence, you play as two characters: Jara Rydek, who is a first officer to the Starfleet ship the Resolute after it experienced a fatal accident. Carter Diaz is our other protagonist. He is an engineer with his partner in crime, Nili Edsalar. We get to experience both the upper and lower decks of the ship. In space, there's a very powerful ion storm that's brewing, and it's like nothing anyone has ever seen before. Incoming first officer Jara Rydek will need to gain the crew's trust and complete the mission
of the Academy.
Really? That's quite impressive.
The first hour of the game left a really good impression on me. Sure, there's a lot of techno-babble to parse through, but using context clues, you'll be able to mostly understand what they're talking about. With my limited knowledge, I wasn't sure if I was meant to spot or recognize the people or places they were mentioning from the shows. There are characters that appear in the game that I knew of, and fans of the franchise might appreciate this. It's not like nostalgia bait, and it's treated with respect. It's not like just please clap for something you remember. Even though Star Trek Resurgence is a choice-based game, or a Telltale like for easier descriptor, it's not just walking around doing QTEs and picking dialogue choices. It has some quite varied gameplay sections, flying a shuttle to dodge ion storms, pulses, and asteroids. There are some shooting sections, but don't worry, our phasers are set to stun. Those sections are mostly quote-unquote on rails. It's the best way to describe them. Two of the shooting sections did give me a bit of trouble, causing a few retries. You'll need to protect yourself, which you only have 3 hits, but you also have to protect some NPCs. There are some forced stealth sections which insta-fail, which is unfortunate because those are always annoying in games, but in this one it's very manageable, not hard in the slightest, and they're pretty generous with the checkpoints, and it's pretty short. Resurgence is somewhat structured like a TV show. You'll end up switching perspectives during tense moments and moments where you just want to follow one character for a bit longer. There was only one switch that left me wondering if it was happening before or concurrent what was going on. Looking at the footage, you can probably tell some of the models aren't the greatest. It's got some stiff-looking characters, and you can see through some parts of their hair. I can forgive it. This is a budget title, and it has decent length. And you may have noticed, like, everyone does this eyebrow raise, like The Rock. Doesn't matter where it's warranted to do that, to look quizzical, or like saying, what did you just say? But like with tense moments, very serious stuff, maybe like some cheesy moments, like everybody does that.
Here, let me help you.
It's just really weird. Once you notice it, you notice it. Like everybody does it. It's just not like certain characters. Which it's pretty funny, but I just keep seeing The Rock whenever I see it. My first playthrough clocked in around 12 hours. Unfortunately, though, on my second playthrough, it's a bit tough to go through since you can't skip any of the dialogue or cutscenes, and there's no options to turn off the QTEs. Not being able to get rid of them is an accessibility issue, and something that would make my second playthrough much more annoying and daunting to go through. It's not bad, but it is just kind of annoying because you can know it can go faster. You can skip some like optional items you can look at to get like lore and stuff or more story. And you can also turn on story mode, which makes the game a bit easier in like the shooting sections or the stealth sections. Starfleet Command has tasked the Resolute to accompany an ambassador to peace negotiations between the Hotari and Elidians. It turns into something much more than we bargained for.
Really?
Early on, we learned that Jara is a Kobliad, a race in the Star Trek universe that requires them to inject themselves with a substance called Duridium to survive. It's like a cell stabilizer. And at first, I thought they were going to overuse this fact to get like some cheap, super tense moments and like easy, hard to make choices. But I gotta give it to the devs because the game only really did that once, and it's not forgotten about either because we see Jara get more infusions multiple times later on in the game. This is Star Trek. The main starting conflict in the game is a very political one, oppressed versus oppressors, in which the Federation has a trade deal with the Elidians, who are the oppressors in this situation. They're in control of the mine on the Hotari home planet. It all eventually gets super complicated as the story unfolds. Infiltration, going on a rescue mission. It's really engaging, and I wanted to keep seeing what would happen. The choices we have to make are hard, and some of them have real consequences. These choice-driven games rely on the illusion of choice. The strength of that illusion varies wildly from game to game, and the more you play these games, you can like see through the cracks. In Star Trek Resurgence, I found it to be pretty good, but when an achievement pops with a choice-driven action, you'll know that's where a split happens. All of the characters we meet have their motivations. They'll clearly dislike you by your actions or try to agree with them, like Captain Solano. He wants you on his side even though he feels like he screwed up before, like it was all his fault. With the Resolute's fatal accident before the game started, in the pause menu, you'll be able to see what the characters think of your choices. I think that's a nice touch, especially when you end up taking a break for a few days and you need a bit of a refresher. I'm finishing writing this script just as I finish my second playthrough, choosing the different decisions I've made from my first playthrough, and Star Trek Resurgence is still a fantastic game and well worth the time invested. The technical aspect of the game was smooth sailing for the most part. There was some crunchy sounding audio towards the ending parts of the game, but it soon went away after that certain section was finished. There were two bugs I encountered. One was the pathing on an AI got stuck, which caused me to reload a checkpoint. And another one, which is a bit more harmless, Lily's phaser was stuck and just kept firing throughout the cutscene, which is pretty funny. Resurgence's achievements are quite different than the old school Telltale Walking Dead games where you just have to complete the game to get all the achievements. Here there are 30 to grab, and the majority of them are split with the different choices we have to make. Some you can quickly reload to get them both, but others you cannot, requiring 2 playthroughs unless you set up a strategic cloud save that you'll be able to manipulate. But you'll still have to replay a bit of the game. I dislike having to play through multiple times in a game just to get all the achievements, but this one wasn't too bad, split over a couple of days, and then this weekend I plowed through the rest of it to close this game out. Looking at all the player counts that we can see for Star Trek Resurgence is a bit lower than I expected. Games should have been lost in the vast majority of games released and releasing in our current climate. Launched last year, and I'm just getting to it now. These numbers don't tell the whole story, and very likely the game did decently commercially. When you see people talk about these numbers, you also have to bump up the numbers quite a bit, just because that's how the numbers work. You're not gonna get, only 3,000 played this on Xbox. No, it's more than that. But it gives us an idea of it's not super popular. Coming from someone not in the fandom of Star Trek, this game is fantastic and it's a great ride. Felt like I was watching a multiple episode arc of a TV show. If you come across this video, I hope this encourages you to put this on your radar. If you like this video, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you're thinking about the game below if you played it or if you want to play it. I'll see you in the next video.